Hello, everyone, and welcome to Torah for Women Ministries, the Prepper Portions. This is Judith Garten. Today, let's talk rationing foods. This isn't a topic people are excited to discuss. Take my word for it. You see, this one requires two things humans tend not to like very much: sacrifice and change. Yet, it really is something you should be thinking about now, before you need to think about it out of necessity or urgency. Many people believe the word rationing, it simply applies to when your food storage reaches that end result. Supplies are getting thin, so you have to do it. Yet let me share some valuable information with you. The United States has become a very wasteful nation. According to research, we throw away as much as 40 million tons of food every year. That's 80 billion pounds of food and equates to more than $161 billion. Yes, billion with a B. Approximately 219 pounds of waste per person, and 30 to 40% of our U.S. food supply ends up in dumps every year. Now, those statistics come from RTS.com, which I will include the link in the area below. If you've seen our video on garbage soup, you know we do our best in our home to not have our trash happen to be that 219 pounds of waste. We use everything that we can to reduce our contribution to the dump. So someone out there, I hate to tell you, you're making up the difference for us and others like us. This waste is overwhelming, and it's just one of Americans' problems. The other one, America is spoiled rotten. We are. We've dramatically changed how we eat over the last several decades. I can remember it in my own lifetime. Foods that were once considered wants are now needs in many households. I'll give you an example. I remember growing up when we were young, things like potato chips, pretzels, dips, desserts, those things, especially desserts, were saved for special times. These were treats. We saved them for family gatherings, family night together, or special times when mom and dad were just feeling like doing something special. Daily snacks were more along the lines of fruits and vegetables cut up and snacking on those. Jim and I actually think more along these lines now, today. We don't eat many chips or cookies, and certainly not on a daily basis, yet many families do. Foods that used to be for special occasions have become staples in the American pantry. This move from needs to wants has had a dramatic effect on what families keep in the pantry, fridge, and freezer. It also has had a dramatic effect on our country's overall health. And seriously, just take a look at our own bodies. I know, I willingly admit I'm battling the bulge too. Right now, in the United States, estimates range from 30 to 60% of the U.S. population is at minimum overweight. Many are obese. It is so easy to recognize the great difference in how we eat now versus how people ate just 50 years ago, especially in portion sizes. We've gone from eating realistic portions to eating what we want, when we want, and as much as we want. One of my favorites to compare is muffins, and yes, seriously, muffins. When I was a young child, if mom or dad made muffins for breakfast or brunch, we often were only permitted to have one, maybe two muffins. The number of muffins we ate isn't the only change, though. Muffins used to use about 1/2 to 2/3 cup of batter per muffin cup on the muffin tin. Now it is double that and sometimes more. Many of these jumbo muffin pans require 8 to 10 ounces of batter per muffin cup. We've gone from regular muffin sizes to mega muffins, and the end result? It is that mega muffins have made mega muffin tops. Let's face it. Let me provide another visual. The last time you went to a restaurant for dinner with your loved ones, which may have been some time ago, but I'm sure you can remember, were you served a plate of food that contained a lot more food than what you would normally pile on your plate at home? Now, many people see this and end up taking home a box of leftovers to eat later or the next day, while others, they'll sit and splurge on the entire plate. I have. Plus, they may add a sugary beverage, side dishes, rolls, and breads. Even top it off with a dessert in the end. Whew. How many calories do you think you ate the last time you did that? I don't even want to think about it. The reason for our being overweight is actually very simple. Americans currently tend to eat more in one meal than what is recommended for an entire day's calories. We no longer eat sensibly. Now, Jim and I recognized this a number of years ago. I'm not sure what prompted us exactly to take a look on that one day, but we did. One of our favorite lunchtime fast food places was a chain restaurant famous for their chicken. We normally ate one meal each, which came with a side of coleslaw and some fries and a drink. And then we would buy a second small box of chicken pieces and split that between us as well, because 4 chicken fingers just didn't seem to be enough. So we each ended up eating 6 chicken fingers, a dish of coleslaw, usually the large one, not the tiny portion size, and sometimes fries too. But not always fries. At this point, though, does it really matter? I mean, think about it. Now, we don't do sodas personally. We often just had a large unsweetened tea, and we added our own sugar to it. But we often added 5 to 7 little packets. But it was organic, so that's better. I'm being silly. One day, we added up all those calories, and we were stunned. I'm pretty sure that was a day we had coleslaw and fries. We had over 2,000 calories each. I think it was closer to 2,500, and the amount of sodium was phenomenal. That was just without soda. Now, the average American is told to eat around 2,000 calories a day, not in one meal. But that wasn't all we ate that day either. We had breakfast and we had dinner, and I'm sure we had plenty of fruit during the day for snacks. I don't even want to think. After that lunch, tallying up what our total intake was for one day, we guesstimated that on some days we were eating 3,000 to 5,000 calories easily. I will say we were exercising daily, a lot more than we do now, but still that's a ridiculous amount of intake. Now, that was a real shocker for us, and we used it to seriously cut back on what we were eating when we were out. But we didn't realize how much we were eating when we were at home and how large our portion sizes were. We were still eating too many calories and too much food, especially in the area of 2 of our favorites, breads and pastas. One thing I will note here is that we don't tend to eat many prepared foods. There are a few, but very few. We tend to eat much healthier foods. Prepared foods tend to be higher in calories, higher in fats, and definitely higher in a lot of starches, as well as sodium. We cook almost everything we eat from scratch. What is pre-made, we choose very carefully and cautiously and do our best to ensure that they are made from wholesome, whole ingredients, nothing artificial or fake. Yet if we compare the serving sizes on the side of any package from our pantry to what we truly ate at home, our portion sizes were often much greater than the proper portion sizes recommended for a healthy diet. Have you ever thought about tallying what you or your family eat daily? You may be shocked. Much of our meal prep in our home is now much smaller portions and 1 or 2 nice side dishes of vegetables or fruit, sometimes both. I added up a couple of our recent dinners, and had we eaten what we used to eat, one dinner could have easily have been 1,900 to 2,000 calories, just one meal. Because we've downsized and we eat a lot more vegetables, we top out now at around 1,100 calories for a big dinner. Much more manageable. By now you're thinking, what on earth does this whole conversation have to do with food storage? Well, if you don't know what your family is really consuming in one day, the amounts you store may feed your family for a whole lot less time than what you think. When we put up food for emergency storage, everyone tends to read the label and use store in serving sizes. We count and calculate how long this food will last, how long is it going to stretch, based on those servings listed on the package. But do you know what your portion sizes are? What your portion sizes are your entire family are eating? Most of us don't, and there's a grand difference. Portion sizes are what you actually consume, while serving sizes are the average amount each person really ought to eat to maintain a balance of around 2,000 calories per day. Now, we recognize that some people, whether they work hard in their employment out in the field or whether they're athletic in some way, they may need more calories, but that easily can be balanced as well. I want to give you a few personal examples of what we used to eat. We used to cook an entire box of angel hair pasta. Now that's 1 pound, and we would split it between the two of us. Now we cook just a little over 1/3 of a box to split between the two of us, because one package of angel hair pasta is supposed to be 8 servings. Yes, 8 servings. Now rotini, that's another one. I used to cook an entire 1 pound box. We could eat that for dinner, and of course it wasn't alone. We had garlic bread, it had red gravy, it had meat and onions. And now I measure out 1.5 to 2 cups, and that is all I make for an entire recipe. That is also pushing it, because in reality you should have no more than 3/4 of a cup of dry pasta per person when it's something like rotini or macaroni or one of these stylized pastas different than spaghetti. Instead, we each eat about a cup. Could we downsize some more? Yes, we could. Now, rice. Rice is a big one. I listened to a woman the other day who said she cooks an entire 2-pound bag of rice, white rice, for her family of 6. That is a lot. I measured it out. It's roughly 4 cups of rice in a quart jar. We used to cook 2 cups for 2 people, which is too much. And now we actually cook a 1/2 cup to 3/4 of a cup, and then we top that rice with meat and vegetables to balance it out. So you see, we've reduced our portion sizes. Now I know that the amount of food storage that we have in our pantry will last closer to the estimates I did in the beginning. It doesn't seem like a lot when it's measured out like this, when you measure these small portion sizes, but when you boil them up and you add other ingredients such as your meats and your sauces, your side dishes, it does round out the meal to a decent amount of calories for that one dinner. We used to eat a whole batch of 12 muffins between the two of us for brunch, believe it or not, some days. I don't actually bake muffins often, but when we did, we would eat them all. It's probably a good thing I don't bake them very often. We still ate too many by eating an entire dozen. Now we eat no more than 3 muffins, and they're the small muffins, not the large muffin pans. I've never indulged in the larger muffin pan. I refuse, because I know we would eat it. We try to accompany a muffin now with something else, such as some eggs or fruit on the side. Now, if your portion sizes are much larger than the standard serving size, you're not going to be storing enough food for your family to rely on during times of crisis if you rely on the serving sizes, that are listed on the packing. At one point years ago, I calculated that what I thought would last 1 year by serving sizes would actually only last us 3 to 4 months at best, based on the portion sizes we were consuming. This could be even more of a challenge if you have children and they're used to eating large portion sizes. This is what brings me to the word rationing. A lot of people don't like that term, and they believe that rationing ought to be relegated to that last little bit of time before your food runs out completely. But I'm going to tell you that that is wrong. We need to approach rationing now, right now. We need to approach our food storage from a rationing perspective. The worst time to start thinking about how long your food storage is going to last is toward the end. That is the wrong time to start thinking about reducing portion sizes because your family is going to be complaining and they're going to be hungry. Instead, I want to challenge you right now to ration now. And it's so simple. It's as simple as learning proper portion sizes and make those portion sizes the same as serving sizes. Do that for several of your favorite meals and get used to eating these proper amounts now. Yes, you might hear grumbling, but it's better to hear grumbling now than it will be in times of crisis. Ways that I made changes, I used to take an entire box of pasta and make, for example, a pasta salad, and then we would eat that over 2 meals at best. Sometimes we would eat the entire thing. Now I squeeze 3 meals out of each box. It's a great, grand difference. Rice. There were recipes that I have that called for 1.5 cups of dry rice. Well, we would eat that between the two of us. Yet rice serving sizes, as I mentioned, are actually 1/4 cup dry or 1/2 cup cooked. That makes a nice portion for each person of cooked rice. Breads. Do you know that the portion size is actually only 1 to 2 slices? For biscuits, rolls, and muffins, it's only 1 or 2 of those items, depending on the size. Not half the batch or half the loaf. Sometimes it just does taste so good. We love breads. I know. They are dreadfully tempting. Yet a dozen standard sized muffins really ought to feed at least 6 people, not 2. I took some time to calculate the calories in muffins, and it can be phenomenally overwhelming. The key to rationing is to fill in your blanks when your tummies are growling. Fill them in with lower calorie, more filling foods, such as, like I said before, that word that children hate, vegetables. Find creative ways to make them so your kids will enjoy. And one thing Jim and I learned recently through a food program we were doing is roasting vegetables on the top rack of the oven at about 425 degrees. We love them. We've had roasted zucchini slices, potato slices, sweet potato slices and chunks, and even carrot slices. I didn't think those would be good. You slice up the carrots, choose big carrots so that they're like close to a potato chip size. So big carrots, slice them on the diagonal, drizzle a little bit of oil, we use olive oil, on them, and then add herbs. Put them in the oven at 425, and when they're ready, you just bring them out and you can snack on those. I'm surprised how delicious they are. I'm going to include a couple of quick and easy recipes on our website for you to try. That will be on biblicalprepping.com, and also I will link somehow to that on torahforwomen.com as well. Now, to wrap things up, I just want to let you know I'm here to challenge you. In the long run, this will be better for your health and your children's health. I didn't mention the number of children who are overweight now, and it is frightening. There are children who are on medications that normally were reserved for people over the age of 65, just 5-10 years ago. Children with high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. Downsize your portion sizes. Make them become serving sizes. It will help you not only get your body into normal eating patterns, but will help better calculate what you store and the right amount of foods for your family so that you will have eventually a year's worth of meals. Serving sizes are the proper amount of food we ought to be eating in a meal. Portion sizes, however, are what we're actually eating in one meal, which can be dramatically different. Calculate your food storage amounts right now based on your real consumption. Take your current inventory and divide that by what your family is currently eating in one meal. It'll give you a more realistic view of how much food storage you actually have now. But my prayer is that you will make the change over the next few weeks from consuming those current portion sizes to the more realistic serving sizes, and that your amount of food stored will then, in the end, last longer than you first calculated. I hope this has been a help. Shalom.